Quick video this morning about how sinister things are getting over here in Northern Ireland. I was chatting to a friend of mine in Ballymena earlier on today, and he was telling me that people are getting arrested now in Ballymena for social media posts. People get the doors kicked in just if they were standing in the vicinity of a riot in the last 4 or 5 days. So this is just an indication of what's happening in Northern Ireland, and obviously throughout the United Kingdom. When disturbances take place, the state comes down in proper Stalinist fashion and starts arresting people and locking people up who are probably completely innocent. But of course it looks good on the stats that they can say they've arrested 1,000 people for disturbances or whatever it will be, and that's what they want. That's the effect they want. And of course the other effect is the chilling effect on freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. And they're the two things I want to touch on in this video. First of all, regarding posting information on social media platforms, as long as you are not inciting violence, as long as you are not breaking any of the ridiculous hate speech laws that are out there, you can post anything you want on social media. As long as you're not inciting violence, as long as you're not breaking the ridiculous hate speech laws. So do not be afraid to be vocal on social media about what's going on, about the absolutely disgraceful behaviour of our political elite, the disgraceful behaviour of the mainstream media, the disgraceful behaviour of senior police officers in demonising everybody that was involved in protests in Ballymena as racists. These things need to be called out and they need to be highlighted. And what's happening in Northern Ireland, what's happening in the Republic of Ireland, what's happening in England, the authorities are clamouring to clamp down on it, to make an example of people, to arrest people. And many of us who've been involved in this for a long time are always looking over our shoulder, always waiting for that knock on the door and the Stasi to come and drag us away from our families and from our loved ones. But the reality is, what we need to do is we need to double down. And I've always said this now, anybody that's watched any of my videos, you will know my position on violence. We have to do this in a completely non-violent way. Once the rioting starts, then that gives them an excuse for mass arrests. Once there's disorder, that gives them an excuse to come against patriotic people and start locking them up. In fact, they're probably going to do it anyway, but let's not give them the excuse. The other thing is, what we do need to do as a movement, we need to up our game when it comes to protests. There needs to be, on those protests, there's one on Saturday in Belfast, there's one on Bangor, there's one in Bangor every Friday night at 7 p.m. Those protests need hundreds of people at them. And the way you do that, you bring your friends and you bring your family. And don't make excuses, because believe you me, when there's enough people on the streets, the police have to police it, and it costs the police money. So obviously they don't want people peacefully protesting. We've a right to stand outside the illegal migrant hotel in Bangor and say we don't want illegals in this country. We have a right to do that, and anybody up and down this country has a right to do that. And even if there aren't any illegal migrants in the hotels, they're going to be in your communities, or they're going to be getting moved into your communities, and you have a right to protest against that. You have a right to say we don't know who these people are, we don't believe they're properly vetted, and we don't want them in our communities. You have a right to say that. Now, if people don't agree with you, that's up to them. They've got a right to their opinion. And you have a right to post things on social media. Again, as long as you're not inciting violence, as long as you're not breaking the ridiculous hate speech laws. We have got to exercise our civil and religious liberties in this country, or we will lose them. And we've got to stand for them, and we've got to fight for them, and we've got to protect them. Like I say, don't be going out rioting, don't be going out burning. It's counterproductive. It gives them an excuse to come down on us like a ton of bricks. But what we do need to do is stand for our rights, and we can only do that by getting out on the streets, and getting out on the streets in serious numbers. And that's what needs to happen. Look at the Irish. The Irish are putting everybody in the United Kingdom to shame at the minute. Every single... Do you know what? And obviously the rally on the 13th of September, get to that rally in London, right? That's going to be massive. I think that's going to be the biggest patriotic rallies ever been done in the UK. But start doing patriotic rallies in your hometowns, up and down the country. Just start organising them. Every Saturday, get to the town hall, get to a focal point where everyone will know, with your Union Jacks, with your England flags, with your Scottish Saltire, with your Welsh flags, with your Red Hand of Ulster, with your Union Jacks. Now's the time to stand up. If we don't stand up now, we're going to lose this country. And don't be intimidated. Don't be scared of the bullying tactics of the police, the bullying tactics of the media, and the pathetic bullying tactics of not all politicians, but of a lot of politicians. Now is the time for the people of these islands to stand up and stand for what is right. And if we don't stand up now, we're never going to stand up, because we ain't going to be able to. See you all soon.